if you're too smart to be interested in politics, you will be punished by having fools represent you.
That is why when you don't give a woman a chance to express herself, you deny a country a blessing.
Honorable, a lot of our youth gave their opinion and what they saw, what they witnessed during the last election. Some they said they were giving money to vote. And of course they put the money in their pockets and voted for the person they deemed fit that would be able to represent them. How do you see vote buying in this last election? And also a lot of violence that were melted on people. Could you say that is what is discouraging the women from fully participating?
Women are not as financially capable as male counterparts. And in most cases, the men have more superior power, more financial power. They can get more, if the man can get a loan. So I've seen men who get a loan just to run an election.
Can they give women loan when they go for loans?
But unfortunately, when the women go for loans, they don't give them. And the issue of vote buying is actually is something that we need to stop. For example, in the last rural election, there are some places I went, in fact they are going to vote, but they need a borehole. That was actually what I'm thinking about doing as my constituency project in the next dispensation. So I said, okay, you do the voting, I'll give you your borehole. But on the day of said day of election, they are very quiet about they are going to vote. Out of the 3 places, or the 4 places, 2 places, somebody was ready giving them 5,000 naira to vote my opponent, while 2 other places made sure that they voted because they knew what they wanted and they know that I don't go back on my words. After the elections, they are now bemoaning those booths, 2 booths where I lost, where I made that promise, and now bemoaning the fact that they are not going to get the vote. They are telling me that I should come and do the vote, that they are going to vote me if I run the next election. So I told them that the money they collected appears to be more important than having an ongoing water project that will last them for the rest of their lives. So I tell my constituents when I go on campaign, don't just wait. Sometimes everybody is interested in that end of the campaign where you say, I'm going to give you people the sum of. Nobody listens to the politician and finds out, what does this politician have in store for us? What do I gain for him? If I put her or him in office, what is he going to do for my community? And that is what I believe is more important. Not that just this 1,000 naira or 2,000 naira you get given on the election day that does not even last that very day. What matters is the long-term benefits you're going to get from the person you're sending to go and represent you somewhere. So this issue of funds is one of what incapacitates our women folk into running for politics. And those of them that are financially comfortable find it's a lot of hassle. Past, before I was, I'm not trying to be sectionary, but I'm just saying the blunt truth. I like to say the truth the way it is. In the last 7 years, I've been lucky to be part of this whole Rochas administration, and women had never had it so good. For example, in this administration, we have 8 female commissioners, not just honorary female commissioners, but holding very powerful positions. Like you have a commissioner for works, who is a woman, commissioner for local governments, who is a woman, commissioner for education. Normally, women get just commissioner for women affairs, social development, all those funny ministries. But now you have women, and they are doing extremely well. And I believe that if women are given that opportunity, you see they showcase that strength. Woman is a very strong person. In fact, we are stronger than our men counterparts. It's not easy to carry a baby for 9 months, go through the terror of maybe you die during childbirth and come out, which men don't experience. So it gives you a sort of backbone, back of steel, to be able to fight back when pushed to the wall. But a lot of things are happening that I believe that in the next dispensation, in the next 2 terms, is going to change a lot of things. Like for example, the card reader that has been brought in by INEC is a wonderful innovation, because there is no need areas where you can just temperate as much as you want. What you get from the card reader is the actual number of people that came out to vote at a place. If you exceed that number, your votes are voided. If you, for example, the card reader captures 200 and you vote 600, of course there was no voting done. That means that there was a lot of fraud done there. And so a lot of checks and balances, and then the introduction of some laws now that makes the vote buying a criminal offense. If it is taken seriously, it will stop vote buying. And when we stop vote buying, we must have having quality representation. People that are going to come on board will be people who the people really want, not people that impose themselves on the people because they have the financial power to sway their sense of judgment.
Just like some youth have complained out there, that politicians don't seem to keep to their words. That when it's time for campaign, they are ready to locate you in your remote areas, remote communities. They will come there, promise heaven and earth, and they will only resurface after 4 years, campaigning for another election. And that had made a good number of them not even believe political leaders anymore. So what have you to say, concerning such attitude that politicians exhibit, and the young people see it and get discouraged?
What smells from charade rats is created with charade rats. Our youths must change their mindsets, the way they view politicians. I have watched politics closely, especially in the last elections. I see how our people are so hungry to extort from the politicians. Before you come campaigning, they expect, look like what Honorable Chief Mrs. Ngozi Esemobiohle said, that at the end, when you are campaigning to people, what they expect from you is how much will you give them. So that mindset, we should start changing it. It's only when we change this mindset that we start electing productive leaders.
But what are politicians who will go to rural communities, promise the people this and that, and at the end of the day, they don't even, while in office, remember those people at all, only to resurface the same area during the next election? It
is within the risks and caprices of the electorate to vote them out. Thank God our constitution has created an enabling environment for us. After 4 years, if we didn't do well, remember we can even call back. There is, when your legislator is not doing well, you can call your legislator back.
How?
There is a provision in constitution where your legislator is not doing well, the 1/3 of the electorate can recall. You can recall. That's very, very possible. Or if you see that you cannot recall, maybe through one means or the other, you wait for the next 4 years, you vote the person out. I know that everybody that has tested that power must like to go at least second time. So it's there. We can all.
A lot of violence during the election, and this violence will be perpetrated by the youth. What do you have for the youth? Is that a way to go? Should they allow themselves to be dragged into such, bad records? Some of them even lost their lives on the process.
One thing is this: our youth should understand that they are the leaders of today. That they are no longer leaders of tomorrow. Leaders of tomorrow are the kids, and as that, they must take preeminent control of the things around them. They should understand they are better off than being electoral thugs. They are better off than being ballot or snatchers. And I think we are getting better. From what I can see, all we need is orientation, reorientation, and our leaders being committed to us. Like from what I can see in the 8th House, and from the prayers of our honorable member, she has countless time call on the youth to educate them on the new laws, to educate them on policies of the state government and the laws passed by this 8th House. I think these are the kind of legislators we need in our society. If we have this across the length and breadth of Imo State, with such outstanding qualities, I believe in the next engineering period we will have less or zero number of these electoral committees.
Thank you very much. That is the much we can take on this program today. We'll bring you the next episode still on this same topic next time. Thanks for being there. It's a pleasure having you. I'm Rina.